My dog is Beefcake. He's a white boxer, and he's about a little over a year and a half old.
Okay. Now, I've seen him described as your son and satanic puppy.
Oh yeah.
So is that indicative of his puppy temperament?
Well, I mean, it was. He's calmed down considerably. But there was a demon that would come out on a nightly basis. Back about a year ago, I guess, somewhere
Okay.
around there. Puppy power, possessed by Satan. Um, you know, but I still love him. I mean, these important uh dogs and people in your life, even when they're possessed by the devil, you still know that there's some good in there.
Right, right. Do you love him enough to
No,
get
he
him
just was crazy.
so no exorcism had to take place between then and today?
Oh no, I put holy water on him, and it burned, of course. Yeah, but he, he just was wild when we first got him. And he's a boxer, so that's the temperament of a boxer too. But it's also just a puppy, being a
Yeah.
puppy, wild and wild and crazy. But his wild streaks have gone gone down a bunch. So it's you know, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Well, looking through your social media and seeing the different dogs you've had, one thing that stood out to me that I feel might be important to you is that the dog brings humor to your life. Is that true?
Well, dogs are just they're just they're funny and they don't mean to be,
Yeah.
but they're there to I mean, every dog I've ever had has just endless humor, supplied endless humor to me. And through the use of, photos and manipulation with the different crude art tools that are available to you on the old iPhone there, you can make some pretty fantastic art
Yes.
using different body parts of your dog. A lot of times I would use my dog's balls to, they look like eyeballs, before I had them removed, which now it's just not as fun. But
Yeah.
I meet a lot of people that I say, oh, I've seen your dog's balls and more than any others more than my own. So I don't know.
Yes.
I think it's funny.
I find it very funny too, and let's get into that in a little bit. I have that on
Hmm.
my list of questions. I just want to zero in a little bit on Beefcake and then move down the line a little bit because I know there's
Yeah,
been some
sure.
pretty profound dogs in your life.
Oh yeah.
But in terms of Beefcake, I mean, we were kind of getting into his personality. One of the things, to your point, you have this little series on the reels where he's pondering and he's got this orb in front of him. Is that part of his personality? Is he kind of a deep thinking dog?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It's just like I
Or
just
is that
saw
the
I
joke?
saw
I
his
missed the joke.
no, it's not even a joke. I just would see him staring into nothing, and take a picture and I was like, oh, I'll put the orb and it's just every time I catch him looking at nothing, um, I put the orb there and play a song called Remind by Orbital, which just kind of sounds like a trance, like an early 90s trance techno song.
Okay.
And it just feeds that joke. I don't know. It's just, I like to pretend that he's deep in thought and that this orb is sort of like plaguing him, and
Yeah.
it always shows up and just kind of um is almost mocking him, and he just wishes it would go away, but it just always shows up and can't help but ponder it.
Okay. Now the name, where's the name come from? How did you guys conceive Beefcake?
Beefcake. Well, I was always um uh, Rocky's dog in the first Rocky movie, Butt Kiss.
Right.
I always thought that that was such a fun dog name, you know.
Hmm.
It was like fun to say, and it just sort of matched the personality of that particular dog. And so I wanted something similar.
Okay.
We had a bunch of different names. We had probably 20 different names that we were going back and forth on, but none of them were really like, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. But
It
then
works. I really like it. And I looking at your wife's Instagram, she has these series called Teen Beef and Baby Beef.
yeah,
And it's just funny. It
yeah,
rolls off
baby
the
beef.
tongue. It's very, it's very comedic just in those
Well,
two
yeah.
terms.
Yeah, there's a lot of different, and you can when you can't find him in the backyard if he's like disappeared into the brush, you can yell, "Where's the beef?" Like the Wendy's
Yeah.
hamburger commercial. And so that's fun. And there's a million nicknames. There's beefy boy, meat mouth, meat man, it goes on forever.
Yeah.
So it's a fun name to be able to say.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree for
beefcake.
sure.
I like it.
Now, I always ask the context of how did Beefcake come to, how do you come to adopt him? And I assume, again, looking through your Instagram, that you guys suffered a loss of a couple beloved dogs. It seemed to be at the same in the same year. Was that just is that kind of the context of getting Beefcake? Was just, you guys had this hole to fill, and after a while, when the time is right, you sought him out.
Yeah, for sure. Um, had a dog named Thriller who was a Dalmatian, um, and then a dog named Chloe who was a white deaf boxer,
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
they had their little relationship, and we had that the four of us for quite a while. And I had Thriller for he was 13.
Hmm.
So Chloe, she she was super hilarious. She was an awesome dog. But she just got, it was like one of those things. She was a little, she was 12, I think, and she just suddenly became ill, and we took her to the vet, and they said they found a large tumor that was pressing on her kidneys, and it's time to go right now. And
No
so she
way.
kind of made the decision. Yeah, she made the decision for us, and it was terrible. And without his companion, Thriller just really declined right after that. Like when she was gone, he just seemed to he just got really I don't know, there wasn't much left for him, it seemed like,
Yeah.
but he also had his hips were gone, and I probably put it off maybe 6 months too long as far as like when to actually do the thing. Um, but we do that. You look for little signs. They're like, "Oh no, he's good. I
Yeah.
think it's fine," even though I'm like having to physically lift him up and bring him down into the yard so he can go to the bathroom. And he was really just using the bathroom in the house. It would just happen to him. We had blankets all over everything and pads down and the whole deal, like that end of life
Yeah.
situation for him. And then when we had to um, have him cross the old Rainbow Bridge, I didn't think I'd really be ready for like a year, but within about 6 months, or even like maybe 4 or 5 months, Kalina started like showing me
Flipping around.
dogs,
Yeah.
that needed homes and stuff. It was like, hey, hey, look at that. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm there yet,
Yeah.
but
Did you?
she was there, so I um and I could tell she was really pushing for it, and I
Yeah.
was kind of wanting to maybe like a year off of and especially not a puppy, I was like, I don't want a puppy.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, but I'm just not ready for it yet, And she kind of pushed, and then at some point I was like, okay, fine, we'll get one, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's sort of how it happened, you know. Found another, found a white boxer that needed a home, and this woman had like a whole litter, and she needed to not have them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we took Beefcake off her hands, and we were warned. She said, "This he's real
He's
stubborn, and
possessed.
he's a problem child." And Kalina's like, "I don't. It's fine. Let's just get him."
Now with Chloe, Chloe seemed to be the one that initiated the butt art. So do you know what first inspired that?
I think it was just her little nub. Uh,
Her
it
just
just looked like a
anatomy?
face. Yeah, her anatomy. I would
Okay, so
see
her
it, and
tail, what do you say, nub, her tail?
yeah, the little
Okay.
nub tail that she had,
Yeah.
it looked like a nose to me. And then I would just see these little. I started to see faces within her, and then she just kind of looked like a. There was some that to me she looked like uh what's her name, Betty Davis's character and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. So I would
Okay.
like exploit that a little bit. I don't know why she just like looked like this really just raked over the coals, uh washed up Hollywood actress. I don't know. And so I'd put all this makeup on her, and a little cigarette hanging out of her mouth, just like grizzled
Yeah. It's all making sense
vet
now. That,
of the stage,
yeah.
put a moo on her. Uh, and then from there, I would just pick out different pieces of her anatomy and then put some hair and this really crude, um, ridiculous pieces of art. I just thought they were funny.
I love them. I love them actually. I'm thinking now you should print them out and sell them for, a charity fundraiser
I
for a
should actually.
rescue. That'd be a great
Not
idea.
a bad idea. Yeah.
With Chloe, did Chloe come with your wife into your relationship, or did you guys get
Yeah.
Chloe and okay,
Chloe came in. I was in a previous relationship with Thriller, and then Thriller stayed with me. And then Chloe moved in at the beginning of the pandemic.
okay, and
So
those two hit it
I didn't,
off really well.
oh yeah, yeah. They were like, and they were inseparable.
Okay,
It was awesome. It was awesome for Thriller. I think he might have been, I don't know that he would have made it as long as he did without Chloe's invigoration,
right.
just kind of like it, yeah, it was like a new life for Thriller really to have like
Yeah,
this best friend.
that's great. That's great to hear.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Now with Chloe, do you know why? And this, I'm going again to your wife's social feed, and she said she described Chloe as self-esteem boosting. Do you know why she would say that?
Just because it's so excited to see you, you
Okay.
know. Like
Okay,
that's
that's
like a
great.
lot of dogs, And
Yeah.
it's like they get so you could go to the store for 10 minutes and come back and she's like, "Oh my God, you're
Yes.
back."
Yes, for sure.
So
That that's
that's all it always makes
that's
you
a
feel
great
good.
answer. That's a great answer. Because I was wondering, like, what the heck did the dog? Was it just because the dog might not be the best looking dog, but it always like confidently
No.
goes about its way? But it makes perfect sense that when you come home, the dog's like,
No,
"You're back, you're
and you
back."
and you come downstairs in the morning from sleeping and the dogs, the boxers have this like this wiggle butt thing they do, where
Yeah,
it's like they have no control over their back half and it's just like wiggling like crazy and their little nubs are going like, they're just so excited to see you.
yeah.
You're like, it's just me. It's the same. I was just here.
That's funny. Well, that
Like, oh my
explains it.
God.
That explains it because in my notes I have self-esteem boosting in parentheses wiggle butt lover. So that explains it all.
The old wiggle butt, but she was like, I mean, it could be anybody. Like every
Yeah,
single person that came through the door, she was just like, oh, and
yeah,
new people. She wants to sit on their lap and she wants to be with the new person more than anybody else. She wants to sleep in their bed if we had guests over or whatever. And
yeah.
Beefcake's the same way. He wants to, we had a very hard time with Beefcake, like getting him to try to relax when new people would come over. He just wants to maul them and
Yeah.
just lick their hair and face like crazy. Very overwhelming.
Yeah. I understand how that
But
could be upsetting for some people, but are you immediately, if some people aren't quote unquote dog people, does that kind of put a red flag in your mind?
There's a couple people, that come over that I know that it's going to be a problem. So, but he's better, a lot better now.
Hmm.
We had some training and stuff, and so we've got some things that are implemented so that when people do come over, they know they need to stand here, and Beefcake
Right.
knows he needs to sit and chill until everybody's calm, and
Yeah.
you know. But he's still like so excited, you can see his little dog brain just about to explode that he has to sit and be good while while there's a new person inside the house.
Yeah.
Somebody comes over to like fix the cable or
Yeah.
whatever. He's just like, "Oh my God, how are you doing?" You know,
Again, it's that self-esteem boosting aspect
yeah,
of all these dogs.
yeah,
Now, Thriller, you described Thriller as the first dog you raised as a puppy. And I'm
yeah.
curious when you go back, you said it was 13 years old. It's been a couple years. So I guess if we're going back around 15 years ago, what was your life like? Were you prepared for a dog and to raise a puppy?
Um, I wasn't sure. I mean, I had had a had a bunch of dogs that were older,
Hmm.
that I had rescued from like a Dalmatian rescue place that was outside of Atlanta, or it was like the Atlanta Humane Society had gotten like maybe 5 dogs, I think, or maybe 4 dogs. Yeah, something like that. And they were older, so there was one that I had gotten that had to put down like a couple months after I got him. He had kidney disease, and I didn't know. And then he came with another dog that was like a three-legged Dalmatian named Happy as a clam. And it was only a couple years with him, and then we had to put him down because he was a senior dog when I adopted him.
When you got him. Okay.
And then yeah, and then I had another. I had a liver spot Dalmatian named Bigfoot that I only got to have him for a couple years as well. And then I got a phone call from the Atlanta Humane Society, and they said, "Hey, you're never going to believe this, but this lady just came in here and dropped off a litter of Dalmatian puppies. And she claimed that she didn't know what kind of dogs they were." And I was like, "How do you not know what kind of dog?" It's like probably the most recognizable breed of all. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, um, I went and met Thriller, and he was wild, just unhinged, out of the out of the gate. And they were like, "Oh, it's the last one left." And he's just been cooped up all day. That's why he's like this.
Right.
And we're like, "Oh, okay, yeah." So, but I ended up taking him, and Thriller was the name, just because he was thrilling, and
Right.
he was just wild. He was wild. So I was ready for a puppy, I guess, but I don't know. Um,
Okay. And were also,
I
you said you were in a relationship at the time? So, okay,
Yeah,
so
I was married.
you didn't have to do it by yourself. So it wasn't like, you
No, and
know,
in fact, I think she did most of the work because I was on tour a lot back then. We were
yeah,
touring pretty incessantly, so um, I mean, I helped, of course, but and that was he was definitely my buddy. We were
yeah.
pretty inseparable when I was back home, and he was an awesome dog.
It
He was
sounds like
pretty,
it.
yeah, he was really really great. Uh, Still miss him. I got a velvet painting of him at home. Got all the memorial stuff for him. And he was like my main dog of my life up
Yeah,
until this point. I have Beefcake now, and he's a year and a half. But as far as my whole life is concerned, up until this point, Thriller was like, the main dog relationship that I've had.
yeah.
Like
You,
13 years of my guy that would drive around with me in my truck, and you know what I mean, just walk him every day, and a lot of playing, a lot of fun with that guy. He
yeah.
was awesome.
What do you think separates him from all the other dogs? Like at first when I went through your feed and I saw like I've got a couple quotes, and one of the quotes is the joy Thriller gave me throughout the years is immeasurable. And I was thinking to myself, well, this dog is very profound because he raised it as a puppy and it's probably one of his first dogs as an adult, but that's not the case. So what was it that really
Right.
connected with Thriller to connected you to Thriller?
I think I think it is like the
Was it a life
having him
stage?
since, yeah, I think having him as a puppy, uh, and like just creating that bond from that early on, and then you take it through the entirety of his life, all 13 years.
Hmm.
I think that that's a big part of it, you know, just he becomes this constant companion.
Yeah.
And uh, with the other dogs, you know, if you only get a couple years with them, you do fall in love with them, of course, you know, and you fall in love with different aspects of all their personalities. But uh, you know, being there from day one is just
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
You know,
I
you
can see that.
really create that special bond with that animal. You know, yeah, felt like my act like felt like a son. You know, as opposed to I'd say, you know, with Bigfoot and some of the others that I got in their twilight years, you know, it
Yeah.
feels like a really great friend, but Thriller felt like my boy, you know.
Yeah. Now it's interesting to see that you went from kind of a Dalmatian guy to a boxer guy. Is that is it that linear the way I'm putting it, or is it just kind of a little bit of circumstance and opportunity?
It's a little bit of that. I'd say that my ex's breed, you know, I didn't really have too many dogs growing up.
Hmm.
Had a lot of cats, had a couple dogs, but I didn't come with a breed basically, you know, like, oh, I like
Yeah.
this breed of dog, you know. And I would definitely get another Dalmatian because I do like their temperament and they're really pretty dogs, and um I'm used to them because I've had so many. But when I met my now ex-wife, she had a Dalmatian and she had an English bulldog.
Okay.
And the Dalmatian, yeah, I guess I just took to it. And when it was time to get another dog after his name was Griffin, after he passed, we got another Dalmatian and two more Dalmatians, and it just was kind of rolled from there.
Yeah.
And then we got the puppy Thriller. So, and then my meeting Kalina, she came with a boxer, and I never really hung out with a boxer before, except for my buddy Danny Carey's has two boxers, and anytime I've like slept over at his place or whatever, you hang out with boxers, and they're awesome.
Nice.
You know,
Yeah.
they're high energy, they're hilarious. They're just like got that wiggle butt going. They're just fun, you know.
Yeah.
And meeting Chloe, I just fell in love with Chloe. It was like immediately, you know. Of
Yeah.
course, you know, meeting me, Chloe was like everybody else that was brand new. She was all over you, you know. So, again, that self-esteem, like, oh, I must be amazing. I must be amazing. This dog really loves me. You know, come to find out, that's just the way she is with everybody. So,
Yeah.
um, but when it was presented from Kalina's standpoint, you know, she's just like, I'd love to get another boxer. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do that.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't know like puppy action of a boxer was like next level puppy. Like every dog is wild as a puppy, you know, but man, these dogs are just like, rah. Uh, so there was some definite moments of frustration bringing up Beefcake, you know, like
Yeah.
this dog is just, I don't know what to do with him. He's just crazy.
It's too funny.
But yeah, we're good. Well, I think we're good now. We're in a really good
Yeah.
place. Like walking him, he's good, loose leash. He's
Hmm.
chill, he still gets really excited if there's another dog like across the street. And it depends, different dogs he does no reaction. Then another dog he's like losing his mind and wants to go over and play. But um gotta get him more like playmates and stuff. That's like next
Yeah.
on the agenda.
Yeah. That'll be
Maybe
nice.
maybe bring somebody else. Yeah, maybe bring somebody else in, but we'll see. We need a break just because now we're starting to get to the point where he's definitely you can like leave him with other people can come over and watch him and stuff, and he's not like a sick maniac.
Well, before I forget, I didn't want to gloss over it, but you mentioned that Chloe was deaf. Is that correct? Did I hear that right? Did I hear that right? No pun
Yes,
intended.
you did hear it right. Yeah, she was deaf, so
So is everything hand
she didn't
signals?
bark ever. She didn't bark ever. You couldn't call her to come in. It was challenging for sure. But she had, by the time I met her, she had figured it out with Kalina. They had their long relationship together, and you know, um,
Did she react to hand signals? Was that how she was, or was it just,
not,
they just kind of
nope,
figured it out, let nature take
yeah,
over?
yeah.
Yeah.
Chloe was very attentive, so she's looking all
Yeah.
the time, to see what you're doing. She's one of those dogs like if someone goes to the bathroom, she's very concerned.
Get
That
right
you
up in
left
there
the
and find out
room.
what's going on.
It's like, oh, they left the room. Like, what's going on? Like, don't worry, they'll be right back. Just like, on edge
Yeah.
if someone left the room.
Yeah.
Uh, but so you didn't really have to worry about. Also, didn't have to worry about waking her up.
Yeah. That's
If she was
sweet.
asleep, she was just out. You know,
Yeah. I bet. Well,
yeah.
I wrap up every show with what I call the Zoomies, and those are five seriously profound questions. The first one is, do you kiss your dogs on the mouth?
Oh, for sure.
I figured.
I mean, I try to avoid tongue in mouth for myself. But every once in a while he'll get one in there.
Okay, I can see that. Question two is, and we'll use Beefcake for now. Does Beefcake have a theme song? Like, what would Beefcake's walk-up music to the plate be?
I think it'll be the Rocky theme song.
Okay, perfect, perfect.
Yeah,
Butt kiss.
yeah.
Question three is, I know Beefcake doesn't go on tour with you or show up to gigs, but if he did, what would he insist be on the tour rider for him?
I think he would insist to be deaf like Chloe
That would be on the tour rider.
because
I'm going to
he
act
is
deaf, so no
absolutely, yeah.
one
I
just
want
ignore
deaf.
me.
I would like deafness for myself because I hate loud noises. He hates the drum. Whenever I play drums down in the basement, he's like goes in to Kalina's office and cowers in fear.
Okay. Is he bad with fireworks and, whatnot, Fourth of July
He was fine
antics?
the first Fourth of July. Now this Fourth of July, he had a real hard time. So
Okay.
he's not sure. He thinks we're under attack and the world's coming to an end. So you can't blame him.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe his dog sense are smarter than ours.
Yeah,
Uh, qu-
probably.
Question four is, do you use a dog voice? Do you speak to other dogs in a particular high-pitched voice or baby voice or cartoon
Yeah,
voice?
I go into a falsetto, how's it going? Something stupid like that.
And do you give the dog a voice? Do you imagine how they would sound and, personify them?
I do, you know, but it's different for different occasions.
Okay.
Some when he's asking for food, when he's over, kind of, he doesn't really bug you for food, but when he's hungry, he just goes and stands quietly next to the the cabinet that has the food in it, and he just sits there, and he doesn't make a noise. He does the same thing when he wants to go to the bathroom. He just sits by the door, but he has a dog door. But if we like close it up because he's been going out and being annoying and
Right.
barking at everybody walking by, we'll close the dog door. But then if he has to go to the bathroom, he goes and sits by the door and very quietly. But yeah, sometimes he assumes the character of you know, like an Italian um, mob persona. You know, it could be that. It's
Okay.
usually that. It's usually he's usually in the mafia somehow.
He's like
It's kind
the
of a New York
Corleone.
City or yeah, Corleone or like a more like a Sopranos type of personality. Yeah.
All right. Well, you should put that on Instagram. That should be part of his series.
Yeah.
Last but not least, I always ask if there's a dog organization or a service that you'd like to give a shout out to. And that could be anything from whether it's a shelter or a walker, a trainer, a groomer, whoever you think deserves some props.
Props, I'd say just the Atlanta Humane Society is, you know, a place that I donate to every year and they help they help a lot of animals in Atlanta, obviously. And yeah, I think that more people should use their services and use their veterinary services as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, get some more information, put it up in the show notes. Well, Braun,
Yeah.
thank you so much for giving me your time. My previous guest, Eric, had mentioned, when I asked who's a musician that first comes to mind, you were the first person he thought of, so I had to
Oh wow,
seek
yeah.
you out. And as soon as
That's
I
cool.
saw your Instagram, I was like, okay, we got to get him. So I appreciate you taking the
Yeah,
time and
of
coming on.
course. Eric's the best. His schnauzers are pretty amazing.
Yeah,
And his love for them is epic. So yeah, we definitely have that in common for sure, amongst many other things. But yeah,
yeah.
the schnauzers, which my grandmother had schnauzers. She had a schnauzer named Bootsy that she had Bootsy number one, Bootsy number two, Bootsy number three, Bootsy number four, you know, just went on and on.
That's
But
so funny.
cute,
That's
cute little
dedication.
dogs. Oh yeah.
Yes, yes. Surprisingly, that was my first Schnauzer for 100 episodes.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But anyways,
Sweet.
all right. I'll let you go. But again, thank you so much, and
Yeah, no problem.
take care of those dogs.
I will. You too.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.